Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum Recovery Podcast. This podcast today is to introduce a topic. I've probably touched on it, but haven't really went into too much detail. I'm not going to go into crazy amount of detail because this topic is going to be presented very soon on the Quantum Healthy podcast, much more often than it already has. But we are starting to talk more about non-native EMFs. You may have heard this term. I remember when I first heard this term, I did not know what it meant. It's basically the electromagnetic frequencies that aren't natural. They are foreign to our body. The natural electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs, would be things like the sunlight and the Earth's Schumann resonance that vibrates at 7.83 hertz. Those things are what we strive for, right? We collect electrons, we get energized from the sun, we get energized from grounding. We've talked about the importance of those things. And today I want to talk about some of the toxins, and not so much from a chemical lens, because I also advocate for, swaps in the home and, like clothing and things like that. Those kinds of toxins are different than the ones I'm talking about today. The two biggest non-native EMFs are blue light and things like Wi-Fi and all of those frequencies that we are all swimming in. Why are we swimming in these? It's because we all are living in a modern world environment. So I want to just make sure that this isn't to shame anyone. I have to work in front of a computer most of the day. So there are things we can do to mitigate this environment. But just to put a little bit of history on this, so we've actually only been underneath these lights for, I believe it's the last, in 44 years, we've had the light bulb, and it's been like about 130 years since the World's Fair in Chicago was lit up by Nikola Tesla, right? So that allowed for artificial light to be in our homes. With the simple flick of a switch, we can turn on the light at any time of day. And remember, circadian biology is all about honoring the light and honoring the dark. So we all have this convenience of the light. And when we get that signal at the wrong time of day, being like when it's dark out, basically. So in the morning, let's say you wake up before sunrise, you're flicking on a switch or you're opening the refrigerator or whatever you're doing, you're getting automatically this big dose of blue light in your eyes. That is a really harsh signal to be the first signal of light. We always want the first signal of light to be that natural electromagnetic frequency of the sun rising, right? So this toxic blue light, we don't want to really demonize blue light because blue light's important. It's a part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And just remember that normally when we are exposed to blue light, for instance, at sunrise, the blue light is present, right? It helps our cortisol rise nice and gently and slowly. And in the morning, that's natural. That's what's supposed to be happening. And we have receptors in our eyes. They're called melanopsin receptors that soak up this blue light to let us know what time of day it is. It allows for our body to know what time of day it is. The reason it's so important for our body to know what time it is because of the hormones and the neurotransmitters and all the cascades biologically that come into play. And especially for us healing from addiction, we want these pathways to be normalized again, because when we're putting chemicals into our body, that's causing major mitochondrial dysfunction. Anyways, these non-native EMFs of toxic blue light, where it's isolated, artificial blue light that's isolated, and then also the Wi-Fi and all these other foreign frequencies, our bodies, our mitochondria it's getting these messed up signals. It's being disrupted. So what can we do about this? And I'm so excited for you to hear R. Blank talk about this. He's the first one to really bring up this topic on the Quantum Healthy podcast. That'll be coming out soon for you to kind of hear, the down and dirty of this. But I wanted to introduce this topic to you here because I want you to at least have heard of it. So you can definitely, look it up. Never take anything I say for fact. I always question, and always do your own research. But these are the things that I have found to be true, and the messaging that I want to pass, especially to the recovery community, because we need all the help we can get when we are healing, especially in the first 2 years of recovery. Now, for the blue light, we've talked a lot about how to mitigate the blue light. Blue blockers is a very, very low cost thing with a very high health benefit. It's very low cost, very high health benefit. So definitely want to be blocking blue light at night. And we've talked extensively about that, and also changing your phone screen to be red, putting things like Iris Tech or iFlux on your computer screen to dim down the blue light. These are all things that are very important. Also changing our light bulbs to be orange or red in, for the evening hours, or even using candlelight in the evening hours. That's how we honor the dark. We honor the dark by not having that harsh, isolated blue light signal coming in at us, because remember, also our skin has receptors on it that do take in that blue light as well. So we really want to be mindful of our overhead lightings being off, and try to have your orange bulbs and your red bulbs also at like eye level or even lower, and having that more warm light, the reds and the oranges, is really important. Ancestrally speaking, that is, we would be sitting out, if we had any light, it would be a fire, and it would be low to the ground. Definitely is not going to be anything that's above our heads. So thinking about that, those are really great. And I have a whole blue blocker guide, and I also have my quantum recovery reset course, which we talk about this in much detail. And also you get one-on-one time with me in a group setting that you are able to ask me any questions to clarify anything. And I can also help you navigate your own home life, your own work life, whatever you happen to have going on, where you may need something a little bit more nuanced, or you may need other resources that I might not be mentioning. So just remember that is there for you. The free blue blocker guide, and also the quantum recovery reset course, is there for you. I created that for you, so you'd have all this information in one place. The thing about the non-native EMFs, one of the other big ones, again, is that 5G, that Wi-Fi. So some of the things that we can do is definitely shield ourselves from it. And there's all sorts of different things we can use to shield ourselves. So one of the things is like Wi-Fi in the home. So I know that when I first learned about this, my head went right to the extreme, because I have the disease of addiction. So I was like, well, how can I get it out and just hardwire? And I actually had my home assessed for hardwiring. And because we are going to be selling our home, and it would require a lot of, according to the assessor, it would just require a lot of construction and whatnot. We are not going to do that in this house, but we will be doing it in our next home. So for us, we still use Wi-Fi. So what do? We make sure we shut it off at night. We never go to sleep with our Wi-Fi on. The other thing that we make sure we do is we have I got it from Intuition Physician. It's like this, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's a piece of cloth that's lined with, it's got silver in the weave of the material. And it's just like it's like a bag, and you just put that over your Wi-Fi router. That actually lessens the Wi-Fi signaling by half, but it doesn't disrupt your service. So you're going to have just as fine of service, but your Wi-Fi router in your home actually gives you a huge blast of way more than you need. So just know that you can go that route. And if other people have other suggestions, please put them in the comments so we can all learn from you. But that is my suggestion, because it's pretty low cost. And of course, the major things that we can do is look at lessening our use. Where can we lessen the use of our Wi-Fi? We want to do that. And also the distance. So this works off the inverse square law. So all that really means is the further you are away, like my computer right now is away from me, because I don't need to be like right next to it. And so the farther we are away from our devices, the better. One of the things that these devices are also doing, besides just, the mitochondrial dysfunction, a part of that dysfunction of mitochondria is its ability to make water. So remember, our mitochondria makes this cellular water that's literally how we are charged as electric beings. And that cellular water gets dehydrated when we are bathed in all of these frequencies, this Wi-Fi, right? And of course, being outside as much as we can possibly be outside is going to be good. I keep my phone on airplane mode. It is, if I don't need my phone, it's on airplane mode. And there is, some say, still like a slight signal that comes off of it. So getting some kind of a shield and making sure that that shield is in between you and your body, so it sprays the frequency off and away from you. And, pretty much these days, every single one of us, myself included, is a Wi-Fi signal, because we all have a phone. We all have maybe other devices that might be near us or on us. For instance, think about an airport. Every single person might have their laptop on them and their phone. That's two things, not to mention, anything else that they might have. And then that's every single person. And then you're going on the airplane. So I'm not going to dive down that rabbit hole, but just I want you to think about this, because the more we can do, that we have control over, the better. Another thing that I know a lot of you are going to not want to hear this, but wireless things. Anything that's wireless. So for instance, the ear pods that people wear in their ears that are wireless, those are going to be really cellularly dehydrating. And when you think about it, your brain is right in between those two ear pods. So the frequencies are literally flowing through your head in order to work. And so I know it's convenient. I mean, I used to have the whatever the ones were by Dr. Dre. And he came out, at least to my awareness, a long time ago with cordless earbuds, but they still had a wire. They had a wire in the back. So that wire was in the back, so they were both connected on a string basically. And it was literally just so I could do handstand push-ups in the gym. That was the only reason I wanted cordless headphones, because I was finding it hard to navigate with a cord and my headphones. And like, what a I don't know. For me, that was like a really dumb reason, just to be exposing myself to all of those extra energies for nothing. However, I did not know then what I know now. So, to no fault of my own, I was using those when I worked out, because I felt like it was less hazardous when I was on a treadmill or another piece of machinery, at the gym. I was like, oh, and not having a cord on my earbuds is good thing, because it's less of a hazard. I'm not tripping over it, or it's not catching on something as I'm walking to the next things and whatnot. Like, I always thought it was a good thing. And it's really not good for our biology. And so I was going to say another thing. Oh, I also don't even work out in a blue lit gym anymore. When we are working out in a blue lit gym, we're asking a lot of our body, because we're in a environment that's literally really tasking energetically because of the signaling it's getting. And then we're lifting weights and doing things where we have to expend even more energy. So if we can, another great tactic is to do everything you can outside as far as your working out and movement activity, whatever you're doing for exercise. If you can do it outdoors, that's another way that you're going to be able to really optimize your circadian health and also your mitochondrial health. And, I go on a sunrise walk every single morning. I actually look forward to always listening to a podcast. And so I always make sure I have those downloaded. So my phone is on airplane mode, and I don't have them right by me, but I have the headphones from VivaRays that have the air tubes. And all I'm doing is listening to podcasts. I'm not doing anything fancy like editing or, you know, making music or anything like that. So the quality of the sound is just fine for what I need them for. And the air tube actually allows for the sound to go through the air, so you're not getting a non-native EMF all the way up into your ear through the wire. So when I say wear wired devices or have our devices wired, you know, in regards to what we're putting in our ears, you got to make sure that they're the ones with the air tube. And you'll know because it'll be advertised as non-native EMF headphones or air tube headphones. I'll put a link in the show notes for you all so you know which ones I'm talking about. But I absolutely love them, and I feel like, I don't know, I just feel safer. Like, okay, I don't have to worry about the non-native EMFs in regards to, because that's probably the only thing that's so close. The other thing, I do wear an Aura ring. I don't always have it on, but on the weeks that I typically will, I'll do a week and then I'll like have a week where I have it off. The cool thing about the Aura ring is that the data that it collects is it's I what's the word? I benefit from it. I love knowing the quality of my sleep and all these things. They're really great to know. But this thing about the Aura Ring, a couple of benefits. And I'm not even an affiliate, by the way. I just love it. I love the product because it can be on airplane mode and collect the data. And I also don't have to wear it all the time because I don't always need this data collected, but I have it. So if I want to see how I'm doing, stress wise or whatnot, I can wear it for a week and see how I'm doing. So the other benefit is you can purchase it now with a health savings account or a FSA or HSA card. So if you have insurance benefits, just know you can, purchase an Aura ring with that card. This is the only wireless thing that I even own anymore. I don't own any other things that are wireless. I used to have a wireless mouse and a wireless keyboard. Just they're not necessary. I do not need that we already have the Wi-Fi we're sitting in front of. I don't need that extra Bluetooth happening. Also, I actually had surgery a long time ago in my teens on this hand. If you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I have a scar on this hand. And this is the hand that I use a mouse. And when I had for my work, I had a ergonomically correct mouse, and the one that they purchased for me was wireless. And after I switched to a corded mouse, I was having pain in my hand that I didn't realize was literally from using the cordless mouse. So these are little tiny things that we really don't know until we know, but we have to do these kinds of tests. Like I would never have known that pain in my hand if I wouldn't have switched my mouse, if I wouldn't have corded back up again. And now I have everything corded, and it's absolutely worth my health. I don't need the convenience of cordless for anything. And now that I know the damage that these headphones do, these ear pods or whatever we call them are doing, I would never put them in my ears now that I know what I know, because I can't unsee what I know. And I haven't talked about this on the podcast yet. I just realized it the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to talk about cordless devices, things that are wireless and working off of Bluetooth. Another thing I want to show everybody on the phone really quick. So this is actually from a podcast I was listening to with a woman named Sarah Hodgson. This is not an original thought. This is what she said. So on our phones, I have an iPhone. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm holding up my iPhone. You can see the airplane mode is on, right? So when I turn airplane mode off, I don't know about your phone, but my phone automatically goes to my antenna, the Bluetooth turns on, and so does the Wi-Fi. According to Sarah, I love this term because I used to be a smoker. She said, this is like smoking 3 cigarettes at the same time. That's the damage that it's doing, or how we can think about it. So if you can, only try to have one of the things going if you need anything going at all. I don't need my phone right now. I'm going to leave it on airplane mode. But the signaling is just like happening times 3 then. So really be mindful when you take your phone off airplane mode that you click the Bluetooth off and the Wi-Fi if you certainly don't need it. And if you're working off of Wi-Fi, don't have your antenna on because that's just more signaling that's coming through. Now, I am not an expert in non-native EMFs or how electricity works. However, we will be having people on the Quantum Healthy podcast come on and we will be interviewing them so we can ask them these questions and they will explain it, I'm sure, in a very beautiful way, just like our blank explained to us a couple weeks ago. So that episode should be coming out soon for you all to listen to. But until then, I wanted you to have this information sooner than later. So I'm just going to leave this at that. So I hope that you have a great week. I will actually not be putting out an episode next week. I'm traveling for work right now and I'm going to be driving. Right now I'm in Minnesota actually at my mom's and we'll be driving back. So I won't be able to put out a podcast next week, but I'll see you all the week after that. And until then, drink water. I'll see you later. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found value in this information. And if you did, please share it. Another way to support the podcast is to leave a 5-star review. If you want to connect, you can message me on Instagram or email me at andearay@outlook.com. And remember, drink water.